Take that, you guys.
Oh, jeez, Bigelow, what is that? 4 games in a row now?
If I didn't know better, I think somebody was cheating. It's all strategy. Strategy.
What you gonna do with all that outfits, huh? You wanna take me out to dinner tonight?
Hey, Dal, I thought we was going out tonight.
Please, Tiny. You always take me to the same dumpy joint. Always serves with eggs and tuna fish. How can you have a romantic date when tuna fish is involved? Nah, I think if Dixie's the big winner tonight, he can afford somewhere snazzy.
Glad to get dog, but not tonight. I got me an all-night game to go to. Wasn't sure I was going to go, but now that I'm on stuff the street.
Dal, I can take you somewhere else. What about Dodges?
I'll think about it. Was it for another round? How many people were you in this round?
No thinking, Chance. I'm afraid the game won't get very far.
Oh yeah, why's that, wise guy?
Because Inspector Norton and Detective Braid up to walk on.
Detective Braid, what do you owe this on?
Hello, Chancey. Where's your boss?
Virginie and around. He's indisposed at the moment.
Yeah, she's a little tied up right now.
Ah, so you finally killed the maid, Tiny.
What? Wait, no, I didn't do nothing. What are you trying to...
Calm down, Tiny. He's just trying to get a ride. Excuse my friends here, Detective. They've had a rough night at the table. I think the chief just stepped out to do some personal business.
Wait, could you go get her? This is urgent.
Well, if it's urgent, Darla.
Mr. Bigelow, you may want to clear up these cards.
Oh yeah, why is that? You clearing up our game? It's a good honest game, officers.
Detectives.
Detectives.
I'm sure it is, Nikki, but we will be needing the table in a moment. Please clear it off. Corvo.
Inspector Norton, always a pleasure.
Indeed. It seems you have some scrapes on your hand, Corvo.
Yes, unfortunately, that is unavoidable sometimes in my line of court.
And exactly where did your line of work take you last night, Corvo?
I believe that's none of your business, Inspector Norton. On the contrary, that's my business, as Corvo works for me, not you.
Well, Mrs. Puccini, it is my business if Corvo was involved in a crime last night, and I think you and I both know she was. Isn't Corvo your go-to girl when you have unusual circumstances?
Yeah, Corvo is pretty handy around here, but that don't mean she was involved in a crime last night. In fact, to my recollection, we were all involved in a card game last night. Isn't that right, boys?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I made a ton off for these guys. You see, detectives, so none of us could have possibly have been committing any crime.
Indeed. Then I'm sure this won't mean anything to you. Bertram, bring in the body. Thank you. Please lay it on the table. Thank you. Now, Mrs. Roccini, you know how I abhor the violence and the ugliness that we may encounter at our crime scenes. But I feel it is important to take a look at this particular body.
Oh, gee, Inspector, I don't know if that's such a good idea. You see, I got this week's study.
Nevertheless, I feel it is important. You see, several years ago, you will recall there was an unusual case down at our city harbor.
Oh yeah, the haunted ship. I remember hearing about that. Oh, wow, sounds sweet.
Nikki! I see your fellow here knows what I am talking about.
Yeah, I remember something like that, but it was so long ago. You'll forgive me if things are a bit fuzzy.
Maybe we could refresh your memory.
Indeed. You see, it was discovered that all the hauntings were actually only taking place when certain members of our distinguished city council were present. And it was all too coincidental that the council was deciding whether or not to sell the harbor property at the land. As I recall, your company was one of the main bidders for the land.
Oh yeah, I guess we were interested. I'd forgotten all about that. But my memory does seem to be coming back a little bit now, and I don't seem to remember any bodies probably. So what does that have to do with the body you decided to lay on my table here?
I am getting to that. You see, recently another one of our local politicians, Mr. J. Rayshard, was considering to put his land up for sale. He owns extensive horselands that happen to be near the often-used Pike's Path in the state forest, which would be useful for anyone trying to move merchandise surreptitiously. As I recall, your company was once again one of the strong bidders?
Yeah, I might have been interested. Husband is always looking for an excuse to go to the country. I thought this might keep him off my back for a while.
Oh. Well, what you perhaps did not know is that Mr. Richard had made several recent reports to the police about unusual activity on his lands. He claimed to have seen a large bat-like creature lurking on his lands. He used to enjoy moonlight rides, but as of late had given them up due to this strange creature.
Oh, gee, that's a shame. I just hate to deny some snooty politician his right to ride in the moonlight. I still don't understand where this thing on my table comes in.
Well, Mrs. Perchini, it comes to the point where you contacted Mr. Richard to tell him his daughter had been kidnapped. And you did this in a most creative fashion by sending him this.
Now that's just awful. What are you doing coming in here and showing me something like that?
Dollar, be quiet!
I need to get her out of here.
Come on, Dollar. It'll be okay. Get you some tea. For goodness sake, it's just a bag!
Crazy broad doesn't know up from down.
I apologize for distressing your lady friend. Just imagine how frantic Mr. and Mrs. Richard were when they found this on their front porch, along with a note saying the same would happen to the little girl if they didn't play ball. Mr. Richard was so distressed, he immediately took out on his favorite stallion to take this poor bear to the police, when what should descend upon him but the very bat creature he had been fearing.
Or so he thought.
Indeed, it seems our little bat made one very large mistake.
Oh yeah? What's that?
The bat used a very unique type of dagger to cut not only the bear's legs, but the tree branches found along Pike's Path so that they would look authentic when the bat came upon Mr. Richard. The bat used a corvo. Now this made me think of our City Harbor case because the ghost had one very human-like quality. While waiting for showtime, it liked to whittle branches with the blade of a corvo. Now I'm willing to guess that if we test the City Harbor branches and the branches found along Pike's Path, that they will match perfectly. And there's only one gang in town that has a member who uses a corvo as a weapon. Can you guess who it is? Take it into the house.
You didn't do anything. No, that's important, but it'll never stick. You couldn't prove the harbor wasn't haunted, and you'll never prove that Rachel's land aren't spooked either.
Oh, I wouldn't be too sure about that, Richie. You see, I think Eddie Jones would be interested to know that the teddy bears sent to Mr. Richard actually belonged to your daughter. You see, we found little Rachel Richard playing in her basement with her teddy bear, which happens to be the same one your daughter owns. Or, I should say, owned. You may want to have some of your men work on clearing the traps up a bigger. And if that's not convincing enough, I believe finding Mr. Richard tied up in your storage room will be.
Well, everyone, that's another one down. I don't know what